I call the meeting to order at 6:30 of the Select Board, and reminding to everyone this is being digitally recorded. David, would you read the virtual meeting information, please?
Happy to.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people who may gather in one place, this meeting of the Hubbardston Select Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. The Select Board and the Town Administrator will meet in person as per the Hubbardston Board of Health direction given at their March 23rd, 2021 meeting. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website a comprehensive record of proceedings after the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to open session. Anyone here for open session? Or we have anyone, as far as we know? See,
Don't see anybody.
okay. Then we'll move to item 2, general consent of the board to appoint Albert Alfonso as constable. We'll need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion to appoint Alfonso as constable.
Second.
Do we need anything else in that motion? Are we waiving anything? David?
Effective May 20th,
Say,
21.
all right, motion's made and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Pat,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
me, yes. Okay, moving on. Announcements.
Nothing has changed since Monday. There's a hike this weekend. Other than that, it's all still going.
All right. Any questions from anyone? All right, we'll move on to.
How do you get to the hike?
You drive, it's right off Lombard. There's a parking spot up there, I guess, so you'll see the open space there at 1 o'clock.
A sign or something?
I follow, like, there'll be cars. I'm going out there, so.
David, do we have any new business that we have to take care of?
No, I don't believe so.
Nothing? All right. So we'll move to the old business, which is the discussion of the annual town election warrant, and we'll turn it over to Laurie in a moment.
Right. So you've had a couple different versions of this warrant. So the first warrant was printed with 2 planning board positions, 2 5-year terms. So we do have a software that we implemented about a year and a half ago. However, the software is only as good as the updates that go on it. So when it was printed, because the planning board had quite a few resignations within the board, the last person that was appointed had that remainder of the term, and that was the term that was put in. So when the information was pulled from the software to see who was up for the election this year, it came up with 2 people, leaving 2 positions on the planning board. It was posted, we had the open, we had it where nomination papers were available, and unfortunately it did not come forward until after this process had stopped, that it was over and closed, that there should not have been 2 5-year positions on the planning board. So if you look at the warrant as it sits, there are multiple positions that have multiple terms on them, to be even the Board of Selectmen. But in the bylaws, it states that the planning board is to have a rotating position with one ending every year. So there's no 2 consecutive spots up in 1 year. So again, it was already posted. The nomination papers had been pulled, they had been turned in, and the deadline has been passed once this information was received. We did reach out to town council. There is a woman by the name of Lauren Goldberg, who is the equivalent of the orthopedic doctor to bones, as she is a lawyer to elections. She knows them like the back of her hand. I talked to her, and she said, seeing the deadline has passed, the only way that we can now go forward, because we can't go back once it's done, is basically you're going to be electing a 1 5-year term. The remaining 1-year term will be a failure to elect because it wasn't put on the ballot. So with a failure to elect, that will be an appointed position, which for the remainder of that year. So just like if a resignation were to take place inside a board, an appointed person is appointed until the next election. So with that, what will happen is whoever comes in first place out of the three will take that 1 5-year spot that's on there, because you're going to be voting for one. The second is going to be filled by the appointment, which will end again next year, and then that will be a 5-year term from there, because this one should have ended in 2022. The current one that has that 1 year left. It was actually Craig Boissonneau's position. He was elected in 2017. That would have been the end of his 5-year term. Once that's done, it would be up to the ultimate voting authority to make the selection of who is appointed to that position, which if we go by, we didn't find anything in our charter or bylaws, so it would default to Mass state law, which states that it would be the planning board and the board of selectmen together. So that would be a final decision that is made by whoever's on the board at that given time. So at that time, it would be up to the boards if they take who came in second place at the election or who they feel best fits that position to be on. You don't have to necessarily go with who came in second. That would be that decision made at that time.
If I
So-
can interrupt for a minute, that
Sure.
would mean then that at a select board meeting, we would not have the planning board there with us.
Correct. So
to
they
handle
would
that
be there.
piece of business.
Right. So I know that it was done, and I don't.
We've done it before.
With the
Yes, we have, yeah.
associate member, I know we had gone back and forth and we had meetings with them. I know it was tried to change from the planning board and select board to the associate member to only the planning board. That did not happen, but again, this is not the associate member. The
Right.
associate member will still need to be appointed, but you will have to appoint somebody to fill that
Mhm.
spot. So that's,
Have the candidates been told
yes.
so that they understand
So the candidates have
why
been
this is
told, yep,
happening that way?
sure, yep. So all of them are aware. I did reach out to Peter Jeffs. He was the only one that I did not email, but I did physically call him and let him know what was going on. He understood the process.
Just so they're not surprised.
Right, no.
Right.
And I didn't want any surprises. I did wait a day to call him because I did want to hear back from town council. Once I did hear from them, I wanted to call him. I didn't want to call and say, well, we don't know what's going on, so I wanted to have that information up front so I could kind of tell him everything all at once. But I found out about it Monday morning. I was in David's office right after I looked through all the past election warrants. We called our town council. Town council put me to Lauren Goldberg, and I heard the next morning, what the status was. So we moved as quick as we could to try to rectify it. But the reason for this meeting, although this could have been done on Monday, it would have been later, and we don't want to miss the deadline for the posting. So by this will actually.
Tomorrow's your deadline.
Tomorrow it will go up. I'm actually hand delivering these to the current constable, Paul Sweeney, who will be putting those up tomorrow at the locations in town.
Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I got a question. So the high vote getter, there's 3 candidates, correct?
Correct.
The high vote getter gets the 5-year term.
Correct.
Second vote getter, or whoever we select, gets the 1 year end of the previous term
Correct.
position.
But it would be an appointed position. So, I mean, David, I'm not sure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't even think we would have to go with anybody that pulled papers at that point. It would be,
Right. it would-
Technically, yeah.
right. I mean,
Somebody could just
somebody
volunteer for
could
it.
just come in. I mean,
Yeah,
no, it
so-
doesn't have to necessarily be who was on the ballot.
So the
because it
select board has to give 1 week's notice to the general public that you and the planning board are going to be jointly appointing somebody to fill the unexpired term of the second position.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be the candidate who is the second or third vote getter. It could be some other person.
But to the candidate's point of view also, being appointed, it would be to complete that term and then they would be able to run if they wish to.
Do those 2 candidates, the second 2 that haven't been elected, do they have to fill something out to go as an appointed, or do they have to say, yes, I would like to become one of the, throw my hat in to be appointed?
I mean, we have appointment forms. I'm not sure if they would just, what the process of them notifying us. I mean, I would assume that these people would want to run, obviously, because they're pulling papers.
But
Um,
technically, if the election were over,
Mhm.
they could say, well, they changed their mind.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
and they
what I'm
could,
saying.
right,
Yeah.
so at that point in
They
time,
would pass
right,
on to the other person, et cetera, and if they
If
both
that
did,
needed-
we'd have to come up with someone.
then they would have to come up with something.
And what's the third position? You said an alternate?
There is, no, not an alternate, what
The
is it?
associate.
Associate member,
Associate.
thank you, I'm thinking
That's,
ex
that's,
officio, that's right. you're
Aaron,
right. Erica
Aaron.
Dack,
Erica Dack.
Erica Dack is currently,
And is that on the warrant or is that
No.
another thing we appoint?
that is another thing that you guys appoint.
Us in the planning?
No.
Is that every
I think
year?
it was just I think it was just the select board, yes, it is.
It's
one
every
term.
year.
But I
Everything
think, I know it went to town meeting and it was voted down. I don't know if it was a planning board and select
I
board.
think it's just the select board, the planning board can.
I think
can
they
recommend
recommend
someone,
and then it
but-
goes.
Because we had that issue too, that we
Yeah.
had to deal with, yeah.
Yep.
All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, then, will someone make the motion? As written,
I'll make the motion that the select board move to approve and sign the revised 2021 annual town election warrant to take place June 8th, 2021 at the Hubbardson Center School Gymnasium from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll second that.
motion's been made in second. Any questions, discussion?
I do want to let everybody know that we are having a candidate tonight. Candidates have been notified and I sent out an email. I have heard back from a lot of them. Also, a letter was mailed by the Council on
I just got it
Aging.
today.
Yeah, even after people, I wanted to kind of get them from both avenues. So there will be a candidates night on the 27th, I believe it's a Thursday,
Yep.
at 6 o'clock PM, and we're planning to use the senior center. So we will have those. Like I said, there will be the contested races, the 2 contested races, and then obviously
Is it
just
a
the
live
other
in
one.
person or is it video?
We're going to plan on doing it.
According to
As
Claudia's letter,
high-
it's live.
It's
People are gonna
there.
be here.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
and so I did actually go on a Board of Health meeting and discuss
Yeah, I
this with
saw
them.
that, but
So
is it
the
gonna be live on TV or?
So I can see if we can get it live. The problem is going to be the questions. And, as we've seen with Zoom in town, and I actually met with the cable committee today to work on a better system if hybrid were to continue. I don't think that it will, because once the orders are lifted, I don't think there'll be a necessity for it or we'll be able to. But the connection in town is not always great. And so we want to make sure that the candidates are heard, and there's no delay. So, it will be in person and I will plan on having it. I will be here for that, to have it open so people can see it.
But will it be video?
Yes.
Okay, will it
Okay,
be live
excuse
on
me,
the cable?
let me interrupt
That's
just for a
what we're
second,
gonna
because we have a motion
Oh.
made in second, and
Oh,
we're
sorry.
not even talking about the motion, okay? So, let's
Awesome.
take care of that first.
Sorry,
okay?
Sorry.
So, no more further discussion on the motion. All in favor, Pat,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes,
Jeff, yes. Motion's passed. Now you may,
That was yes, we will work on having it videotaped live and shown on live. Well, no, we can't do it. Ours doesn't feed live, feeds live Zoom, but that's it.
okay, so it'll be
Not
live
on
on
cable,
Zoom,
though.
not on cable.
Yeah, not on.
Okay, that was my question. Because I
right.
know I'm gonna get asked.
moving on, David, town administrator report,
Nothing to report,
okay? Policies to review,
no policies.
very good. Board and committee updates, nothing at this time. And that is not reasonably anticipated, nothing. Public press question and answer,
No.
okay. Take a motion
I'll
to
make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion made, second to adjourn, all in favor? General,
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
yes. Motion- We're, meeting is adjourned.